Don't let anybody tell you you're not learning anything from playing video games. Many people think video games are just a waste of time, but they can actually teach you a bunch of life lessons that you won't even realize you're learning until many years later. So I'll go over 7 important life and career lessons I've learned that I actually think make me happier as a person, help me progress in my career and in my relationships over the last 5 years in particular, from applying video game concepts to my own personal life. Because I guess like many things in life, you start to learn more with age. And at 38, I'm pretty old. All right, number 1. Here's the big one. Practice makes perfect. But the way you get really good at something is perfect practice. That is, practicing the same thing over and over again, but in the correct way. Video games ingrain this in you, even if it's by accident. From every game, starting with Mario Brothers on NES, all the way to my current progression in HVH, you need to put in the time in order to get good at something. You're not going to be great at it right away. But you can also see it in your career. You need to put in the hours when you're younger in order to progress further when you're older. There's no substitute for just doing the reps, even for something like socializing. I was awful at talking to people throughout my 20s, but I kept on trying and kept on trying to figure out how to do it better. And even now, I do stuff in my 30s that my college-age self would freak out about. Random dinner with strangers, enjoying going to parties, heck, hosting a party every weekend. Which brings me to my second point. Video games, and life in general, are better with other people. Whether you're joining a guild or playing with teammates, you have to communicate. Talking to them will make the game more fun for you and for them. And the thing is, they don't even realize it. In real life, that equates to just asking people to hang out. That simple step of breaking the ice and having them come over to your place instead of waiting for them to invite you over to their place makes all the difference. Over the course of the last 5 years, I must have sent out something like 200 invitations for random things like going to the park or just coming over for dinner. I'd say the acceptance rate is over 99%, and that the person would have liked to come if they had the time, or they did come. People want to hang out. If you're a generally agreeable person, other people are going to like you. But most people rarely take that initiative. So take it upon yourself to just invite people you like to hang out with you. And they're going to say yes most of the time. There will be people in your life that you should seek out with even higher importance. And those are going to be mentors and coaches. Life lesson number 3. Find a coach. You want somebody that can give you unfiltered feedback on the quality of your progress. Whether it be at work and a boss that you can trust to give you feedback on how you're doing, or in a game. Professional athletes have coaches, and coaches make them better. Someone like Matt Blake, the Yankees pitching coach, has turned middling relievers into perennial all-stars. You can find the same thing in video games and in real life. This might sound silly, but I've had several fantastic video game coaches. The first being Spider-Pig, who's another in-game player, who has helped me just figure out how to optimize my play better. He gives me critical, unrelenting feedback on what I'm doing wrong, and then the next time, I don't do it wrong. My other coach has just been YouTube. You can learn anything you want on YouTube, as long as you find the right mentor to teach you along the way. Corey Schaefer has been instrumental in helping me learn how to program. So find a coach you can trust, and then master the tutorial. Life lesson number 4. Get good at the really small things. Like I was talking about earlier, you need to practice, and perfect practice is better than regular practice. But that'll only take you so far. Putting in the reps will get you to the 90th percentile, better than most people in your field. But getting from that 90th percentile to the 99th percentile is 10 times as hard. What will eventually separate you is your attention to detail on the smallest things. I call it mastering the tutorial. In video games, the first 1 hour of playing will teach you the basics of how the game works. In HVH, it's how to move your character and how to collect resources. And even something like Mario, it's how to walk and jump. But whether it's speedrunners in Mario, or the top TFT players, or heck, even me in HVH, we play the game differently than someone who's just opening it up for the first time. Because we do all of those little movements significantly better and more precise and with more intent than they do. And that's what gets to separate you from everybody else at that 99th percentile. It's the small things that you've been doing since you were a kid that'll separate you from the competition. So think things like reading, writing, and communicating. They sound really boring, but I put in a couple thousand hours into making my writing better, and it's noticeably different. 2 years ago, I'd say I was an average college-educated writer, but by this point, I was able to write a 2-page memo to help secure us $10 million in funding. It's still putting pen to paper, you're still playing the same game, but now I can more concisely convey my thoughts in writing. And doing all those small things will hopefully have an exponential payoff. Life lesson number 5. Trying to find things in life with asymmetrical upside rewards. That's just a fancy way of saying, do things that could make a really big impact on your life without a lot of downside. In video games, it's understanding the risk and reward and taking the risks that have higher payouts with low downsides. In something like League of Legends, it might be taking an advantageous trade, giving you the best possible outcome with the lowest downside. You want to mimic these decisions in real life as best you can and minimize the poor decisions. Don't buy lottery tickets. Don't smoke cigarettes. Don't waste money when you're young, and for God's sakes, brush your teeth. All of these things have asymmetrical downside risk, where things can get real bad real quick, and they don't really have any upside. Whether it's asking that person you've had a crush on forever out, or applying for the job you might not be the best fit for, but that you think will help advance in your career. All of these have the ability to give you compounding returns, with high upside and essentially no downside. Life lesson number 6. Never underestimate the power of compounding interest. Compounding interest is one of the most powerful forces in the universe. I think it was Einstein that said that, but the same holds in your everyday life. In video games, anytime you can get a resource that will generate more resources for you, it's usually invaluable. I've been playing Balatro a lot recently right now, and interest there is one of the core concepts you have to master. Hitting those breakpoints for interest will give you such an advantage later in the game that you don't totally understand it early in the game. But you can find compounding interest everywhere in real life, most obviously in investments. A dollar invested today has the potential to be worth much more in the future than you actually can comprehend. My $5,000 that I invested in my first job 15 years ago is currently worth $55,000. I didn't do anything there, I just left it in the stock market and forgot about it. And in your career, there's going to be skills that have an exponential return to your investment. Something like going to college might be a basic one, or it could be a certain skill in your industry that allows you to go from the 50th to the 90th percentile, increasing your earnings over time substantially. But the key here is to have a long-term vision of what you're trying to accomplish. Which brings me to life lesson 7. Set out a goal and measure yourself against it along the way. Most old school video games have a clear progression to them. You beat Ganondorf and Link and Zelda save the day. In more recent games, there's usually a leaderboard and your goal is to achieve some level on that leaderboard. Well, in life, you should have longer term goals that you set out and that you're measuring yourself against. Now, my long-term goal is to retire. Every second of work I do now is so that I don't have to do 10 seconds of work in the future. That goal helps me shape how I prioritize money, how I spend money, and how I think about my relationships. I want to have friends that are going to be there 10, 15 years from now. So creating a meaningful set of deep, lasting relationships is important to me. It also means that I'm going to write down everything I spend money on so that I know exactly where it's going and if I could cut back somewhere. Because it's generally easier to keep money you've already earned than to earn more money. But you want to write it down so that you can measure it against whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. Whether it's hanging out with those friends more often, or making sure your retirement account is going to the number that you want it to hit. Whatever it is, having that goal and then setting measures against it and tracking your way to them will help you succeed in hitting it much more often than not. And that's what video games have taught me. By putting in the effort, continuing to try and get better at the things you want to get better at, and being social along the way, not only will you have more fun, but you'll be more successful, and those lessons will translate into real life. And I'm Kolz. If you like the concept of mixing video games with real-life applications, then please subscribe. Thanks.